Nick Aldis started SmackDown by telling us the match between Jacob and Drew McIntyre was going to be a number one contender contest, and I thought we already knew that, but it's nice to know. It's like when somebody tells you they love you, they don't tell you once, they tell you over and over again, so you can feel warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum. I think this information then got to Cody Rhodes, and he was like, well, they better go out and cut a big promo about this, because wrestling, that's the only explanation. Also, hello my friends, one of the ups and downs, the only wrestling review show you need, and given that WWE SmackDown did just go down, which is a dumb sentence to say out loud, I am going to take the finger of power and give the good bits an up and the bad bits a down. You can get in the comments and tell me what you like and what you didn't like, and you can, click like and share and subscribe, and you can go to nordvpn.com/WhatCulture to get yourself a deal on NordVPN. It basically works out for under $3 a month, and then if you want to watch wrestling programming via other means, you can. Sound good? That's up to you. Let's up those downs. Now, Cody did talk about his loss to Seth Rollins at Crown Jewel and was like, even though I think we should never fight again, we definitely shall fight again. But given that I have to be the top guy on SmackDown, we better talk about that. So, Jacob for 2, you do your thing. So, Drew McIntyre, you do your thing. And I will see you at Saturday night's main event. So that's confirmed. That was basically it. I mean, Cody Rhodes is very good in this role, but I really can't tell you anything else unless you want me to stand here and read out the entire promo word for word. Nobody wants that. It'd be a little bit boring. Also, I can't really pull off being Cody Rhodes because I am bald. But look, given what was going to happen at the end of the night, I shall give it an up. And really, this is the problem with Crown Jewel. You get through that pay-per-view, and all of a sudden, all of the stories that we have been telling just die. Because again, they're fighting for the Crown Jewel Championship. And when somebody wins that, well, full stop, it's done. But up, it was perfectly fine. I do have a down here, though, because Randy Orton was not on this show. And listen, maybe he is going to pop up in Saturday night's main event to begin whatever he is going to do with Cody Rhodes. But he has now been staring at Cody Rhodes' World Championship for like 18 months. And not only have we not pulled the trigger, but now he doesn't even turn up to SmackDown, and I am just so damn confused. I mean, I guess you could give Drew the belt, and it's due to Randy. But once again, that is something we shall talk about later. So yeah, I just think you could use Randy better, unless there are extenuating circumstances that we don't know. But again, I don't know, so I have to go with my feelings. And then laughed out loud because Sikoa and the MFTs found Phoenix taking pictures. And they were like, we don't want you to take pictures anymore. We want the cameraman to take pictures of us. And things like, listen, man, I put a lot of work into how I look today, and I've got up and I feel like I have a glow. So let me do my images and you can go next. So Soda and his friends beat him up. I don't want to say this is like the Japanese shampoo commercial, but it was definitely leaning into that direction and essentially told you that Sikoa and his bad boys are running amok throughout SmackDown. When the women's tag team titles were defended, and thank Flubbins for that because they do vanish a lot, and of course it was Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss taking on Ruca and Zaria. And I actually thought this was pretty damn good, mostly because if you don't watch NXT, you will probably now look at Soul and Zaria and go, you know what, they know what they're doing, maybe we can call them up properly. Blake Monroe's in the crowd too, because of course she's about to have a match with Ruca, so that essentially told you the finish. And I have to say, I probably would have done away with that one, especially because there was going to be another match on this evening where we essentially repeated this, we just performed it in a different way. But otherwise, Soul and Zaria were able to run wild for a while, and my gosh, they beat the flubbins out of Alexa Bliss. At one point, she went for a Hurricane Rana from the apron, and Zaria caught her, and that made my heart stop, and she hurled her into Barricade. I mean, that looked pretty damn vicious. So Ruca also made sure to go flippy-dippy-doo-dah as much as she could do because she is good at that, when, of course, Charlotte did get the hot tag and she ran wild. And this basically ended with her putting Soul in a Boston Crab. I was like, that makes no sense. You're most definitely not from Boston. And when they got out of this, can you believe it? Flair ended up in the position. Ruca gave her the Soul Snatcher, and Alexa Bliss had to break that up at the 1-2-ooh. Once again, this is a very good way to do it because it tells you, it sends the message, that's a devastating finisher, and somebody isn't going to kick out, you need a friend. We talked about this the other day, we can talk about it again. Finishes in WWE are just dying by the day. So let's protect this as much as we can. This is when we do it to put one on the dick board because, of course, Ruca started arguing with Bloke Monroe, who was at ringside, because she couldn't believe that somebody that she knows from work would do this when she is technically at work. It created a paradox. She was totally screwed. When Charlotte came and got her, she put her in the figure eight, and of course, Ruca had to tap out. Now, I wouldn't have done that. I think you can lose, especially to two people of the level of Charlotte and Alexa. But what are you going to do, right? Again, there's another one that I thought was worse that I'll talk about later, but I am going to give it an up, and for the love of everything, let's get Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss a proper feud. And also, we need to go back to the whole Friends of Convenience thing. Apparently they're just buddies now, but I was waiting for the big hug moment in the ring, so we should do it. Still gonna give it an up. Kind of feel like a sloth. Speaking of two then bumped into Cody Rhodes and said, listen, Cody, once I am done earning some pocket money in my second job, I'll be coming for you, because he has to go and dog walk Drew McIntyre. And if you understood that joke, it sucks to be you, it was terrible. He's also going to show Cody why he is all gas and no brakes. And Cody loved this. He was like, great, I can't wait to tangle with you. And this was essentially a big wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's not going to happen. But yeah, we'll get there in a minute. It was then time for the follow-up video with Aleister Black and Zelina Vega. And essentially they told you, we have been planning this for ages. It's always been part of the plan. Because I guess they are husband and wife. And I suppose after wrestling shows, when they're eating dinner, they sat down and they were like, should we just, get together and try and set somebody on fire? And they agreed yes. Zelina had some weird lines as well because she said, we are not the infection, we are just the mirror that shows it. But surely if you are looking into a mirror, you would be the infection, but let's not worry about it. And apparently the venom isn't poison, it's just salvation. But don't fall for that one. That's like what witches say, oh, just come into my house and eat my wonderful cake. I definitely won't throw you into the oven and then you die. That's a fairy tale, by the way, that we tell to kids. The presentation was very good, though, and it does feel like a very solid step forward for both of them. And also, I have to imagine that Damian Priest is going to get a friend, and we talked about that 7 days ago. But I am going to give it an up. I mean, it worked for CM Punk and AJ Lee. It worked for Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. There's no reason why it can't work here, too. And again, Zelina Vega had no direction before this. Giving it up. The Miz was then talking to Nick Aldis when Sami Zayn walked in. He was like, my devil boy, why is there no US Championship Open Challenge thing tonight? He didn't phrase it like that. And Nick was like, well, we can't do it because I feel like Shinsuke Nakamura deserves another opportunity. But he's still in Japan. And also, given that it was the MFTs that screwed him out of this and they're still lurking around, I don't think we should do it. It's like, Nick, you're in charge. Just tell Sosako he's banned and boot him out of the building. Sami Zayn agreed and he went on this awesome speech saying, no, we must do it regardless. So he went to the ring. So once again, Nick Aldis hadn't booked a proper SmackDown show because apparently there was just a big gaping hole in the middle when Sam was allowed to defend his championship. It turned out to be really awesome as well because even though we teased The Miz was going to answer this when Carmelo Hayes beat him up because turnaround is fair play, Ilja Dragunov made his return to WWE after like a year. And fair play to WWE because they went and took a risk, because if you can believe it, we have a brand new US champion, and his name is Crazy Wazy Ilja Dragunov. It is just the best way to keep your audience engaged, because now you never know what's going to happen. And even though he's wearing this massive knee brace on his injured leg, he just went crazy at 130 miles an hour. Sami Zayn was more than happy to keep up with him, and this was absolutely brilliant. It's one of those matches that you should go out of your way to see. But as always, I not stand corrected. I was correct. I'm always correct. I'm mostly wrong. But this one, I told you it was going to happen. Because even though for the last 3 weeks, Sami Zayn has won with the Helluva Kick and the least devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the Blue Thunder Bomb, he got that combo here, and this mother flubber Ilja kicked out. Now actually, we do have to pat Sami Zayn on the back, because he had clearly planned this over the last month. I'm going to do this combo, everybody's going to buy into it, and when somebody does kick out, nobody's going to believe it. But the truth is the truth, this is the truth. The Blue Thunder Bomb still sucks. There was also a lot of suplexes during all of this, a lot of them located from Germany, where, yes, out walked Sosako to put one on the dick board. And this is when I'm going to throw it down in there, because again, you use Blake Monroe, you use Sosako. Sometimes people can just lose, as long as you do have a story follow-up for them. But either way, Sami Zayn was able to throw Ilja into the team of the turnbuckle when Dragunov just came back with the Tornado Moscow. He dropped the H-bomb, and yeah, he pinned him for the Uno Dos Tres. And this really was one of those moments you were like, well, one, he's just rehabbed for 12 months, for good for that guy. But also, we just threw him up on a pedestal. Like, he could have lost here and nobody would have minded. But the fact you gave him the victory, it made SmackDown more interesting. It also makes Raw more interesting, especially after the Bron Breakker thing. Sometimes we've just got to take risks. We have taken those risks. Our insurance premiums are going to go up. But there's the word. It is most definitely getting a flipping up. Afterwards, Sami Zayn was happy to celebrate with Ilja when, of course, the MT started to beat them up. This made me laugh out loud because Phoenix ran to the ring, still pissed off that he doesn't have any brand new Instagram pictures. It was a totally terrible plan because he was completely outnumbered and he got the absolute hoof kicked out of him when, yes, the Wyatts appeared on screen. They were all like, oh man, we're going to take your ribs and make sure they come out of your jaw, because they never make any sense when the lights went off. When they came back on, they were in the ring. much like last week, so as the current his boys like, you know what? We don't want to do it. So outside of the fact that DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns would be super duper mad, the MFTs are about to get a title shot, even though they are running wild. Like I say, you do have to give it an up. It was one of the best things on the show, and the match itself was brilliant, but I'm standing by that down for Sikoa. Just thought with this one, you could have gone all the way, but that's a tiny, minor criticism. It really doesn't matter. So yeah, if you do have 15 minutes, I'd absolutely sit down and checked it out. It is flipping good. Tiffany Stratton then said she didn't really care that she lost at Crown Jewel because she's won all her other matches this year, which ties back into my problem with Crown Jewel. When Kiana James walked in and said, listen, this is why I didn't pick you as a client, and I picked Julia. And Tiffany was like, oh yeah? Well, that's why you're an agent, because you can't wrestle. So Kiana was like, well, I'll wrestle you next week. And Tiffany went, all right, it's getting her down. This is the flipping Women's World Champion on SmackDown, and we just keep going round and round the houses, and actually it's definitely the care things made it worse, because that would be a way better program. Just don't get it at all. We then saw footage of Los Garza being mean to the Motor City Machine Guns, so they must have learned from Phoenix, and because of that, they were going to have a match, and it was pretty good, and the Motor City Machine Guns won with the Skull and Bones. Again, there's not much more I can tell you. It kind of feels like we're trying to reset the SmackDown tag division a little bit, especially because right after this, we saw DIY and Fraxium falling out. Also, because DIY insulted the fact that Axiom has a stupid mask. So let's just go through it. It's so dumb. Phoenix was mad because he wasn't able to take some pictures. The Motor City Machine Guns were mad because their 1 year celebration was broken up. And Fraxium are mad because we said that Axiom has a silly mask. No, I'm not going to moan about this. Goofy Wrestling 4 alive, but you see what I mean. We're kind of moving the chess pieces around, but I'm going to give it an up. Like the Garzas are really good, the Motor City Machine Guns are really good. That's it. That's all I've got. It was kind of just there playing out Hey Nintendo. When it did happen, and very sadly, it sounded like the rumors this week are true, we cut to the back. Jacob Fatu had essentially been murdered, but there was blood on the floor, and there was a bunch of medical personnel and Nick Aldis running around him trying to figure out what happened. Now, if you hadn't seen the news, it sounds like Jacob has to take an extended period of time off for a non-wrestling related issue. So again, wrestling is the most important of the least important things, the other way around. Now that's right, I know what I'm talking about. But who cares whether he's on TV or not? It's about his personal life. I just hope that he's okay. So I send all the best to him and his family. And whatever this is, I really hope he can clear it up quick and come back to professional wrestling. That man is flipping damn good. Now, this did mean that our main event was in the air, so maybe WWE had typed this into an AI machine to get their creative this week. When Drew McIntyre walked out and he was like, oh, well, that's unfortunate, but referee, you should name me the #1 contender right now. When Nick Aldis walked out and said, listen, Drew, if it turns out you had anything to do with this, I'm going to be super duper mad. I was like, are you kidding me, Nick? What are you, 8 years old? Of course it has something to do with Drew. Thankfully, Cody Rhodes heard this and he walked out and he's like, yes, it's you stupid Scottish idiot. So you know what? If you want to fight, let's fight right now. And the world title was on the line. So what the flop is going on? Now the man was still in his damn suit when he did this, which did make it very intriguing to watch. And they just brawled around the place. And I'm pretty sure they were biting each other too. So not only did you have a man in a suit and tie, when he'd taken his tie off, but yeah, he was doing some biting. McIntyre also hit the Future Shock DDT at one point for a very close 1-2. And I was like, man, maybe we are going to do it. When they fought over Barricade, when Cody just popped up and he smacked Drew right in the head with the WWE title, the ref was probably like, man, this is totally out of control, and he called for the disqualification. Of course, they continued to fight after this, and Cody was actually going to give Drew the crossroads onto the announce table when the useless wrestling security did break it up. But again, they're useless. So even though they dragged McIntyre away, eventually Rhodes went to the top rope and he dived onto the pile and smack it down. Now, I actually thought this was a good way to build up to their Saturday night's main event match because it does need some jeopardy. Don't forget Cody beat Drew a few weeks ago. And yes, maybe, just maybe, Randy Orton can get involved. And that's how you start the Cody feud and we actually give Drew McIntyre the championship. Again, look at the Seth Rollins deal, look at the Ilja Dragunov deal. I think right now WWE could use a creative shot on the arm. Just don't use AI. That is not the last joke I'm going to make about that. It did mean it was a really exciting way to end the show, even though it came out of some sad news. So I am going to give it an up. And overall, actually, I thought it was a pretty decent SmackDown. It kind of feels like it's angling for stuff in the future. And yeah, once again, it didn't cook up that took us. Give it an up. Now, of course, please do let me know what you thought about last night's episode of SmackDown in the comments below before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. And again, the link for NordVPN is down there too. You can click the video on the screen, which is ups and downs for Monday Night Raw. Otherwise, have a pleasant weekend. I'll see you tomorrow morning for ups and downs for Wrestle Dream, because wrestling will never end. But in the meantime, have a lovely Saturday. See you in around about 24 hours.